First this morning, we're in central Queensland at Brown Park in Rockhampton as Scotland and Tonga face each other to see who finishes 7th and 8th in this 2008 Rugby League World Cup. Now, this is why these two are playing each other. The final Pool 2 table saw Scotland finish second after that memorable 18-16 win against Fiji on Wednesday. An historic first World Cup win, giving the Bravehearts a better points difference than France, who had beaten Scotland in this pool. Well, Ireland's unexpected and emphatic win against Samoa in midweek meant Tonga finished second in Pool 3 ahead of Pacific Island rival Samoa, which I'm sure has caused a few ripples in Australasia.
Feliti Mateo was a big player for Tonga all the way through this competition, and I believe that if he can keep his discipline, because he shows in a couple of games, I think he got Simbin in the first game against Ireland, and you know, he was a big plus for them, but he's also got a bit of a hot head, and a lot of the Tongan sides, I think today for them, as long as they keep their heads in the heat of Rockhampton and go through with the extensive players that they have in their backline, then I believe that they will come out tops today.
Well, it's Scotland against Tonga for the right to see who finishes 7th and 8th in the 2008 Rugby League World Cup. Let's see how the two teams line up, starting with the Scots. Michael Robertson is again at full-back. Wade Liddell, Mick Nannin, Kevin Henderson, Gavin Cowan, Dave McConnell and John Duffy make up the backs. These are the forwards. Oliver Wilkes, the hero of the hour on Wednesday, scoring the winning try against Fiji. Captain for the day is Ben Fisher, and Scott Logan make up the front row. The second row, Ian Morrison and Duncan McGillivray. And Ian Henderson, one of the players of the tournament so far, is the loose forward. On the bench, Andrew Henderson, Paddy Cooper, Chris Armitt and Jack Howison. While for Tonga, we have Fatuli Talanoa at full back, as he was for the Samoa match. That means Michael Jennings is in the centre. Cooper Vuna, Tashela Sini, Etu Ueseli make up the three quarters. Feliti Mateo and Eddie Pyer at half back. The forwards are Antonio Kafusi, Wakefield's Tavita Leolata, the captain Lapini Pai. Epalami Lawaki, brother of Sione, the All Black, is in the second row. Andrew Emilio joins him, and Tony Williams is the loose forward. While on the bench, the third of the Pai brothers, it's Mickey Pai, Sam Moa, Kimi Iwasi and Willie Manu. So two sets of brothers, three Hendersons for Scotland. There they are, in fact, just preparing themselves for a big challenge. And for Tonga, there are three Pyer brothers, so that's pretty unusual. Congratulations to them. One of the outstanding features of the Scotland performance, certainly against Fiji and in parts against France, has been their team spirit, Paul. I mean, a lot of players have just come together, probably never met before this tournament. How impressed have you been with what Steve McCormack's managed to do?
Very much so. It's a big part of their culture, as we've seen with the Irish. The Irish have just had a little bit more quality to add to that passion that you need. And you're quite right. Three brothers for Scotland, three brothers for Tonga. Never quite heard of that before. It's going to be a passionate affair. You know, the outcome, they're looking to find out who's going to finish 7th or 8th in a 10-team competition. So, you know, there's a little bit of pride to play for on that aspect, but they want to leave this World Cup with a good memory. So we can expect some fireworks today. One thing that hasn't impressed me with the Tongans in the competition so far is their discipline. We spoke about that aspect right at the start of the competition in the previews. We haven't seen that headhunting aspect that we were aware of from this Tongan side. Last time out, they were a very indisciplined side. We've seen probably more lip than forearm, and it's not done them any favour. And I think that's an area where Scotland have a chance today. If their kicking game on the back of John Duffy is good enough, and their discipline is good enough, they might just have enough juice left to get home in this game. If not, if the Tongans are good, then with respect to discipline, then they can possibly run away with this game.
So we're looking at live shots from the dressing room. Ben Fisher just saying a few final words as the Scotland team going for the final arms in before they take the field. I mean, I suppose one of the big questions here, Martin, is where do Scotland and the likes of Ireland go from here? The big three obviously have the Tri-Nations, but there really needs to be international competition between World Cups, doesn't there? I mean, this is an opportunity for the authorities just to expand the game, isn't it?
Without a doubt. I think Paul's been involved in recent years in a competition where I think England A, Scotland and lots of other teams have participated in. But I definitely feel there needs to be regular competition for these sides at a level, up Wales, Scotland, Ireland, and even putting France in there. And there definitely needs to be a lot more competition for these players, because when they come to a World Cup, then it's not such a big step up. We're looking down the Scotland team today. Steve McCormack has reshuffled his side quite well. You know, but he's brought in players the likes of Dave McConnell, who's only really you know, a utility National League One player, and Gavin Cowan on the wing, who we replaced John Steele, who we couldn't really find any information about. So a lot of players who you know, are stepping up to play at this level need to be seen by the rugby league public at large, and need to be developing on a level, because it's very hard for them just to be playing at a National League One level and all of a sudden, Paul, just step up to play in the World Cup. So it'd be good for them to have a lot more experience at an intermediate level, playing, as I say, against the likes of Wales and Ireland.
Well, there's one thing that's absolutely clearly for all to see, is that we need more international competition. I was just about to say, Martin, that Scotland and Ireland and Wales and possibly the French could form some form of competition within their own right, but let's not forget how well or not so England have done in this competition so far. So there is room for international competition, and who would have thought pre-comp that the Irish would be going into the final rounds in such good form.
Well, let's cross to Brown Park, Rockhampton for Scotland against Tonga. Your match commentators are Scott Sattler and Mark Braybook.
This afternoon, Flower of Scotland to be played by Robert Piper, Robert Finlaver. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the national anthem of Tonga, to be sung this afternoon by Miss Salea Paki.
All is in readiness now for this player for seventh, the Rugby League World Cup of 2008. Scotland and Tonga. Arwen Guttenbeil looking on for the Tongans out of the game today. There's a pretty strong breeze blowing from the north. We've got the Tongan War Dance to come. This will certainly fire the crowd up here. And the Scottish players will face off and line up and unite as the Tongans head to the northern end and get ready for this Tongan War Dance. gets everyone on the edge of their seats and fired up for a game of footy, that's for sure. And the Tongans and Scotland are about to line up. On a sad note for Tonga, they're wearing black armbands today, and it is sad that Jim Dimmick, their coach, his father-in-law, sadly passed away on the Gold Coast. Maury Hunt, and to Jim and his family, particularly all those down on the Gold Coast at a difficult time, we pass on our thoughts and prayers for you, and I'm sure it's a tough time, and the Tongans will be looking to win. There's Shane Hayne, our referee this afternoon here in Rocky. Running into the strong breeze in the first half will be the Scottish side. Shane Hayne signals time on, and they do that through John Duffy, the Scottish side, and here comes Antonio Kafusi for the first hit up of the afternoon, almost breaking through the other side. Ian Morrison, one of the defenders there with David McConnell to make the tackle. And here's Talanoa bringing it forward. It's Cooper Vuna, 30 metres out from his own line. Henderson in there to make the tackle. They go wide here. Tonga trying to find some space out wide, and a strong tackle there from Duncan McGilvray, former Panther, playing here with Tonga. Here's Loaki, who's up and is tackled. Just short of the halfway line. Tonga's end of the field. Paya. It's the ball on the outside to Kafusi, who runs there at McConnell, and also Morrison, who make the tackle. Get some assistance there from Ben Fisher, captain today for the first time, and Kafusi very slow to his feet playing the ball. Last tackle, they're going to run up, they go wide, and there's a mistake. The ball was knocked on by Michael Jennings. I think he was expecting the kick rather than the pass, but there was an opportunity there for Tonga.
Well, there was a Scottish winger had fallen back, Wade Liddell, and a mistake there by Talanoa, but a lot of ball movement from Tonga very early on. We saw that in their first game against Ireland. And their tactics haven't changed with Jim Dimmick. It's going to be interesting to see how Scotland adjusts to this heat, because Tonga will struggle as well. Do they kick early? Do they get the big Tongan side down the other end of the field as much as possible?
Ian Henderson there running it. Epalahami Lawaki, a teammate from the Warriors, and realising, uh-oh, what have I done? Here's Logan, rocked in a tackle there by Tavita Leolatu, who's been terrific in this World Cup for Tonga. Now they go wide. Robertson straightening there is Kevin Henderson, one of the three Henderson brothers playing this afternoon for Scotland. Now here's McGilvray. Last tackle here for Scotland. Plays the ball back to Fisher. Now Henderson with a little chip over the top. Awkward bounce. Well covered up though by Waselli, who gets back in the field of play, but good defence, good chase there from Duffy. And also the wing three-quarter, Gavin Cowan, bring him to ground.
Well, it was a good set there by the Scottish. They got through their set. They come down this left-hand side. They attacked the halfback in Eddie Paya on two occasions here, one with dropping the kick over the top, but they're always going to explore those options down their left-hand side against the halfback. Penalty here to Tonga, get them out of trouble.
Morrison in there making the tackle with Logan, and just not getting off the tackle play quickly enough. And so Tonga get a relieving penalty, and with the breeze at their back, they get up near the 40-metre line. Here Latu making the tackle. Now here's Mickey Paya taking it forward.
That's one! Move!
Mickey Paya was supposed to start the game on the bench. Tony Williams, I should say. Hard to see the numbers from this distance at times. Here's Feliti Mateo. Get down to the Scottish end of the field. Tavita Leo Latu out of acting half, and he's been a danger every time he's run the football, and Scotland will be aware of that. But stopping it's another matter. Mateo. Now Paya across field. They're going to run it here. Jennings looking for a spot, but can't work his way through the defence, and Emilio making the tackle. I should say Henderson making the tackle. Loaki out of acting half. A chance here for Tonga if Lassini could have got the ball on the outside to Waselli. Last tackle. Eddie Paya, cross-field kick. Mateo leaping high, grabs the ball, gets it down. The first try of the match goes to Tonga. They lead 4 points to 0. Eddie Paya with the kick, Feliti Mateo with the leap, and Tonga lead.
Well, it was a good controlled set, and even more importantly, a controlled kick there from Eddie Paya. It's been a game of his at South Sydney this season. A lot of people have been critical about his kicking game, but here it's pinpoint for Mateo getting one-on-one with the Scottish player. Just his height, his strength getting over the top with the first 4-pointer of the game. And we're seeing a lot of ball movement from both sides. Tonga have got that big raw strength, the ability to offload in their tackles. And Mateo, a player that's come under a little bit of criticism himself this World Cup, a player that they've expected big things from, has opened up the account for the Tongan side.
First time really down here for the Tongans. There was no one really back there for Scotland either covering that kick. Wade Liddell got over there late.
See these towels? Have you got a spare one of them? See if you can find one and give it to our trainer.
Tonga with a chance to add a further 2 points here. Just to start, they were after 2. As we spoke before about their mindset, the disappointment of not being in a playoff for the semi-finals. Tony Williams had no trouble, and the fans cooling the Scottish players down on a very warm afternoon as we go to the touchline for the first time today. He's nowhere near those fans, unfortunately for him. Stuart Raper, it's warm.
Now, I've tried to get my own fan, but unfortunately I couldn't get one. It's not too bad down here on ground level. There is a cool breeze coming out of the northwest, and it's in the face of the Scottish, so it's actually not as hot as what it was early in the day. And I think that will help the Scottish players. They need to be able to graft and complete their sets to make these Tongan players tackle. Tongans have shown in their first 2 sets of 6 how they're going to play that last tackle different. The first one, they shifted it to the left. The second one, Eddie Paya, a deft little kick in behind for their first try.
Duffy with the restart. And Tonga through Antonio Kafusi. With the ball back down their end of the field.
Hold. Go.
Vuna.
2. Move.
Almost just a carbon copy of the first set of the game. Leo Latu out of acting half. Here's Paya. Now Lawaki got through the tackle of Henderson. Could get away from Duncan McGilvray up towards the 40. Leo Latu, an opportunity here for Tonga. Just shy of the halfway line. Leo Latu out of acting half again. Gets away from Duffy. Oh, there's a high tackle from Logan on Paya. They're having a lot of trouble here, Scotland. Trying to stop these smaller men out of acting half for Tonga.
Well, they're getting a roll on with their sets. They're getting good ball width very early on in their sets. They're getting one-on-one with defenders, and their big runners like Luwaki getting quick play of the balls. Leo Latu getting out of dummy half like we've seen him in the last 2 games for Tonga.
McGilvray there with the tackle on Lapini Paya. They're only 10 metres away from the Scottish line here, the Tongans. Kafusi back on the angle, right into the heart of the ruck. And they're waiting for him there, the Scots. Fisher and Henderson making the tackle. Leo Latu out of acting half. Here's Eddie Paya. Across field, it's open up. He's going to score with the easiest of tries. Well, what happened there? The defensive work of David McConnell rushing out just gave Eddie Paya a dream passage, and Tonga lead by 10 points to 0. That was ordinary defence from Scotland, and they'll be very concerned over that. It was too easy.
Oh, well, he's just committed one of the biggest sins in rugby league defensively. McConnell there just had his eyes for Luwaki, the number 12. The number 6 gets up ahead of the man with the ball. The most important man is the one with the ball in his hands. He's still there, Paya. You couldn't do it much easier. He would have looked up and seen that defensive error that's made by McConnell, a huge gap to get through, and he did it quite easily. I'm sure the message going out from the coach, Steve McCormack, in regards to that decision just made there by his 5'8". It's one of the biggest sins in defence, and I'm sure Stuart Raper will extend on that a little bit further. And worrying about what's outside here, worrying about the man with the ball is the most important person. As we see the try scorer on screen there, what has got to be a problem for the coach Steve McCormack is the urgency of the Scottish players at the moment. There's no urgency in their game.
We also spoke before that David McConnell's a hooker, playing at 5'8". And it's not easy to defend in a position you're not used to either. But that's just the basic reading of defence there. And Tony Williams, he's taken the ball back 20 metres. He's about 15 metres in from the far touchline. In fact, about 12 metres in from the far touchline. And here's the attempted conversion, and it's just inside the left-hand upright, so the score goes, I should say, to 12 points to 0. And Steve McCormack looks on top of the grandstand here at Brown Park as we go down to the touchline. Stuart Raper.
Yeah, you're right about those defensive errors. They've got a few players that are defending out of their normal position. And what that did there, McConnell just went up with the blinkers on. You must be able to have that peripheral vision to be able to read the situation. You understand what your man is. And I think with the Tongan side being such a big side, that's what McConnell want to do. You want to get up and try and make that tackle and not make it on his line. That one, he came undone and forced the error or forced the space inside.
Antonio Kafusi, they're running overrunning the pass, and another penalty here. Well, they're just getting killed at the moment, Scotland, because they can't play the ball down. They can't get their hands on the football.
And it's through absolute frustration as well. You see the second row, Ian Morrison there. It's his second penalty for the game in regards to the ruck. And it's just through sheer frustration. They cannot control them aggressively enough and physically enough.
They've had one set, Scotland, compared to Tonga's 6. 12-0 after just 10 minutes of play. Now Latu out of acting half, Mateo, then passing the ball to Lupini Paya. Into Tongan territory by about 8 metres. That's the 40-metre line at Scotland's end of the field. You can see. Here's Paya. Now Jennings at crossfield, turning the ball back on the inside to Emilio. He's tackled. 12 metres into Scotland territory. They're holding at the moment, Scotland. Kafusi, they go wide through Mateo, now into space. Williams, a one-handed pass, ball on the ground. Who wants it? Jennings almost got there. They just looking at each other there, Scotland, and Fisher comes away, but they finally get the ball.
Well, that was lucky for Scotland there. Jennings pushing up the middle of the field like a good fullback does, trying to get any opportunity. But once again, the urgency of Scotland. I don't know whether the heat is affecting them, but the amount of sets that also Tonga have had against them is taking a lot of fuel out of their tanks.
That was off a Scottish boot. It would have been play on if Jennings would have been able to get a hand to it. Luckily for Scotland that Fisher decided to grab the football as Gavin Cowan is now tackled and forced back in the defence of Tonga. Lahami Lawaki involved. Well, that should be a penalty. Didn't clear the ruck quickly enough for mine. Emilio. Scotland could use one too. Last tackle. Here's the kick from Duffy, and it's not a good one either. Into the breeze high, and Jennings on the fly. And they're back to almost where they kicked it. Waselli. Wilkes in there making the tackle with Henderson. Waselli trying to get him off. All over the head there of Henderson. He didn't like it. Here's Tosh Lassini. And another penalty.
That's up to me to determine what tackle it is, but now I've had about 3 or 4 penalties in a row. Your guys in the play the ball area, you've still got a responsibility, and if you don't hear what I call, to move, all right? Your guys aren't responding at all. You go back now and you tell them. Tell them now. I'll give you time, you tell them now to move.
I think Tonga could have been penalised in that last set for something similar. That's where the players get frustrated.
Yeah, you're right, and we go back to the physical attributes of trying to win that play the ball, and when you don't win that battle on the ground, and the Tongan players once again winning that battle on the ground, you do get frustrated. You try and work them over on the ground, and sometimes it just comes unstuck. And unfortunately for Scotland, it's all too often at the moment.
Tonga in danger area again, 10 metres out from the line. Lupini Paya taking it forward. He's only 5 metres away. They lead by 12 points to 0. There's the goal line. Eddie Paya. Now the ball to Mateo. Mateo finds Jennings. The ball went forward from Jennings. It was taken magnificently by Kupavuna, but it did travel forward. And Scotland survived, but only just.
But defensively, they learnt from the previous set of 6 where Eddie Paya scored the try. They got up off their line quick. They took metres off the Tongans. They let the Tongans play in front of them. So here they're sliding. Ball going forward. Kupavuna, unfortunately, not getting the ball that he would have enjoyed. We see the Scottish defence there, letting it all unfold in front of them. The number 2, Wade Liddell there, had a good shot on Kupavuna if that ball wasn't forward.
Epelahami Lawaki is playing hooker. Nanan
That's one.
11 out from his own line. Let's see if Tonga get off as quickly as Scotland have been asked to. As Fisher is tackled just shy of the 30-metre line. Good run from the hooker. Here's Logan taking it forward. Running there at Lassini. Get some help from Lawaki. Another offload here from Logan. He's done that so often this year for Canberra. Fisher is tackled. Here's Duffy to the line. Henderson, one of the Henderson brothers, Kevin. The two front rowers coming off very early for Scotland after just 14 minutes. Now they get a penalty with a hand there from Andrew Emilio. So relieving penalty there for Scotland, but both front rowers interchanged early for Scotland. So the two new players on. One of them is Jack Howison, number 17. The other one in 16 is Chris Armott. Armott's about to have his first hit up. Look at that tackle count there. Has been had 9 sets to 3. Out of acting half, Fisher. Trying to steal some metres again. Can Tonga hold on here? This is the first real pressure they've had to face. Howison. Ian Henderson is just behind the ruck there to the left. They go to the right though to Duffy. Ball on the inside to Armott, but he threw the dummy. And his tackle just 2 metres away from the line. Fisher now to Ian Henderson, running around in circles. Now decides to go forward. Offloading. Here's an opportunity for them. McConnell across field. Robertson dumbing inside. Succumbs to the tackle because he knew he was near the touchline. A little chip over the top too deep. They watch it bounce. Lawaki and Jennings had a chance to catch it on the foot. It's going to be a goal line dropout.
Well, they didn't throw a lot of options, did they, the Scottish, in regards to ball movement, decoy runners. They didn't throw a lot of options at the Tongan defence, but they finish off with a good set of 6. They now get a restart. Got a good chance here for John Duffy to organise some plays, and I think with the Tongans, they out wide on the fringes of their defensive line, they can get tunnel vision in regards to block plays. The Scottish have to set up for some block plays, some decoy plays with some sweeping runners, especially when you've got someone like Michael Robinson sweeping around the back.
Speaking of Robertson, he takes a wobbly old kick, which in the end turned out to be a good one from Mateo. That's the 30-metre line. They're going to start this set from Scotland. Fisher on the inside to McGilvray. He runs into some solid defence. Duffy inside to Howison. Keeps those legs pumping. He's only a couple of metres away from the line. Opportunity here for Scotland. Big opportunity. Duffy, he's kicking early. It's off legs. And Tonga have come up with it. Not sure what he was doing kicking on the third tackle.
We talk about opportunities. He had a perfect opportunity then, Duffy, to send that ball out wide. We had Michael Robinson sweeping around the back. There was opportunities there. And also Morrison, Ian Morrison, put himself into position and put himself into space. Another penalty there to Tonga.
Just letting Tonga get down the other end of the field a little bit too easily. Dominating possession, Tonga. And the Scots are giving them more field position.
There's just got to be a little bit more vision from John Duffy, the number 7, for the Scottish side. A little bit more vision. Seeing his runners are putting themselves in between defenders, putting himself into space.
Vuna. Stay over the halfway line. Now here's Paya on a bit of a roll again. Tonga thought about the offload, decided against it. Vuna was there. They're inside the 30 here, Tonga. Leo Latu, Eddie Paya. Now the ball on the outside to Mickey Paya, who's on the field. 20 metres away. Tonga on the attack again. Almost a forward pass there to Felipe Mateo. Back on the inside was Jennings, but the ball was intercepted there by David McConnell.
Felipe Mateo, I honestly believe he needs to get a little bit more involved in a running role more so than a passing role. I think if he gets that under his belt, relieving penalty here to Scotland. Michael Robinson around the ruck. Talanoa, they're giving away the penalty. They get a chance to get out of their own half. But back to Mateo. I think he needs to play more of a running game. Don't worry about the depth passing as yet. His footwork alone and his offload in traffic will create more havoc than what he's presently trying to do with his outside men.
So a fine touch here, Scotland. Just shy of the 40-metre line, their end of the field. 18 minutes gone. Getting into the game a little bit more with a little bit more possession. As you can see, the completion rates when they've had the football. And one of those completions was a kick on the third tackle, which is counted as completion. But apart from that, they are controlling the ball well. With a little bit more possession, may be able to put a little bit of pressure here on the Tongan defence. Halfway through the first half, we will be having a drinks break soon. And Henderson gets the pass on the outside to his brother. Now here's Duffy to the line. Played 5'8" on Wednesday night. Nice bounce in the end after an awkward pass for Robertson. Fatuli Talanoa. Oh, there's a mistake. That's the halfback, John Duffy. Just making the error there. It's a changeover. Thought he may have taken the chance to have the drinks break there, Shane Hayne, and he's going to.
There was a good opportunity there for,
they've
for
dropped
Duffy.
Sorry, they've just dropped the drink bottle. It's not the drinks break.
Let's have it now.
Now we are going to have it now.
Drink, guys. Drink.
He's decided to have a drink break now, Shane Hayne. So just on halfway through the first half. And what is a humid afternoon, but they've done well, Scotland, to keep it to 12-0.
Well, they have, with the amount of possession that Tonga have had and the strength and the speed that they do possess, and especially those big men in traffic. They need to get 2 and 3 at a minimum to slow their play the ball down, and they're trying the best they can, but they're staying in there too long. They're not winning that initial battle when the players are standing in the tackles. They're trying to do all the work on the ground. There's Mateo with the first try with the second set that the Tongans had. Here's the third set. Eddie Payer himself gets an easy run to the line due to a defensive mistake by David McConnell, the 5'8" for Scotland. But in saying that, they've got themselves back into the game the last 6 or 7 minutes. They got a little bit more possession back. All the completions have been great. Now it just comes back to their halfback in Duffy. A little bit more organisational skill, a little bit more vision, but organisation is probably the biggest part that he's got to play leading into the second 20 minutes of the first half.
Let's head down to the touchline for his thoughts on the first 20 minutes. Stuart Raper.
Well, yards are fairly easy for both sides. It's, like I said, it's fairly humid down here, so sides aren't getting off their line and making their tackles. So sides are making 50, 60 metres in their sets of 6. The Scottish side, as Scott has already said, is going to get a little bit more organised. I don't think they're moving the Tongans around enough. They seem to be running it, staying in that middle third. They're hitting the fringes. They're not using their short side. On Wednesday night, they scored a good try down the short side with Henderson. I think they've got to start to look to maybe utilise some short side plays and maybe not just stay in that middle third of the football field.
Trainers are leaving the field. We're about to get ready for this second half of the first half. Have a drinks break at halfway through the second half as well on a steamy afternoon in Rockhampton. First time we've seen Test match football played at Brown Park in Rocky.
And a good attendance too.
Oh, there's the mistake, the lack of concentration after a break.
Sometimes sides don't want to break, do they? The Tongans have had a lot of possession. Been marching up the field with a little bit of ball movement to the fringes of the Scottish defensive line. And here we see the first set of 6. And Mickey Payer turning over possession. Good opportunity. Centre field scrum for the Scottish here. Perfect place to attack from.
Duffy, now Robertson. He's got the ball on the outside to Cowan away from the touchline. Inside the 10 he goes and gets hammered from Leo Latu. Right in the ribcage there. And Kevin Henderson plays at acting half and offloads the ball there to Armit, forced back in the tackle. Only a couple of metres away from the goal line. Duffy across field. Ball behind and dropped there by McConnell. He's able to regroup. And they've lost about 15 metres there, the Scots. Henderson out of acting half. Turns the ball back on the inside to Howison. The defence is there from Tonga again. They've got 2 tackles left in this set. They're only a couple of metres away. Fisher short ball. Morrison, he's lost it. Was it stripped?
Stripped, play on, but you're offside.
The strip was legal, but the man that dived on it was in front of the man that did the strip.
Hand it over. Hand it over.
Well, it was a good play there from Scotland. Morrison again putting himself into space. And it was a good option taken by the hooker Fisher. Short ball, gets him one-on-one with the defender. Now they get another chance, another set of 6.
Harrison. Solid contact made there by Sam Moa, and he's lost the football. Just on the field, Sam Moa lined him up and came in with the big shot. And the coach a little bit disappointed.
Well, it was good contact, wasn't it, from Moa? You see him use his shoulder. Here's the missed opportunity by the Scottish, but it was a good work from Moa. He uses his shoulder here to push the ball out as he goes down towards the ground. Good work in the tackle. That's the difference between winning the battle while the players are still in motion compared to trying to win the battle when you're on the ground.
Stay closer, half. Out.
So Tonga will work it out from their own end. So they've had a couple of opportunities here, Scotland, and they'll be disappointed they've come away with nothing. Zuasi is getting ready to come on for Tonga, number 17. Leo Latu is the man that is coming off. Zuasi just looks like his twin. You'll see him come in here acting half in a moment as Lassini runs out of there. And here he comes into acting half. He looks like Tavita Leo Latu with the flowing hair. And some solid contacts. And that hurt too. Now here they play on it. A little chip over the top, Cowan. That's one of the Hendersons, and there's Uasi making the tackle, and Crossfield Robertson. Kevin Henderson is the man that was injured in that tackle. He looks to be he's one of the biggest centres you've seen since Gene Miles and Mal Meninga. Speaking of Gene Miles, he's up here in Rocky, but Lennon is the man, the number 3 jumper. Not saying he's in the same class, but he's certainly in the same size as those two Queensland centres.
Good defence there from Mickey Pay. There's an opportunity there for Scotland on Robinson. Close the gate.
Henderson with a kick for the touchline, finding it just to give everyone a chance of a breather. And to keep up with all the information as we get down to the playoffs now, where teams are playing, what's happening, who's doing what. RLWC08.com is the website to head to. I don't think either side is rushing to get back to the scrum, and here's his hit from Henderson straight over the top. Mara Rang. So he's hurting when he's making the tackle, and he's hurting when people are having to tackle him.
He's done a lot of good work in this World Cup, Sam Moa, a player that's a little bit unknown to a lot out there, but a player with a heap of potential. We see the mobility that he's got. He's got a lot of raw aggression.
Surrender! Stand now! Just stand up! Hold.
Fatuli Talanoa, the man playing the football.
Move in!
Ian Henderson, the tackle being made there on Mickey Parr. There's a flop there from Ben Fisher, not penalised on Wessie. Now Felita Mateo is able to offload to keep the movement alive. Jennings is now tackled into Scottish territory. Eddie Parr with a kick for the corner. Robertson has it covered. Is it too deep? It will be. It'll go over the dead ball line easily. And it's going to be a 20-minute restart for Scotland.
There's good work there by Felita Mateo, the 5'8" for Tonga. Getting himself, mentioned earlier, getting himself involved around the ruck, getting one-on-one with players, getting in between players himself and creating opportunities through second phase play.
Trying to work out who Ian Morrison reminded me of, and got a bit of Nathan Long about him, doesn't he? The former Cronulla back row with the blonde hair flowing and runs a bit like him. Another interchange being made by Scotland. Chris Armott, who's only just come on. There he is. Chris Armott going off and Scott Logan coming on. So the coach, there's Nannon upended in a tackle. Ended up on his back safely. Cooper Vuna, the man making the tackle. Here's Jennings with the kick downfield. And straight through Jennings. Now only has Robertson to beat. This is going to be a terrific race. Jennings and Robertson. Robertson has him covered and makes a terrific tackle. What a run back there from Michael Jennings. Here they come again, Tonga. Eddie Paya. Ball around the body for Tuli Talanoa. Taken to ground by McGilvray. Good tackle. 5 out from the line. They must score to the left here. Tonga surely, if they can get her there quickly enough. Can they? Moa, straight, hard. Morrison there with a tackle. He's only a metre away from the line. Logan there as well. Wessie at acting half. Throws the short ball. Not sure that was what they were after. Lawaki now. Here comes a long ball. Emilio. Ball on the ground with Silly for the corner. Can he reach out? He does. He scores the try. They just run out of troops, Scotland. And Etu Wasili scores the 3rd try of the afternoon for Tonga, and they lead by 16 points to 0. But you can put it down to the run of Michael Jennings, a superstar in the making.
Yeah, great work there from Jennings. We've seen him wearing the number 3 this year in the World Cup, but he's been floating around the fullback position. And a good challenge here with Robertson. Robertson's also a known speedster. Had to turn and chase again. Great work there by the experienced veteran for the Manly Seagulls, and we see just some second phase play himself. Lawaki, good cutout ball. Henderson tried to come in and cut it down, but it was the flight of the ball that beat him. Finally got on the outside, caused a 2-on-1 situation, and it's Wasili who gets the 4 points. Henderson himself trying to recover from the earlier movement defensively. Got a good shot on Wasili, but as you said, Mark, just ran out of troops. Tony Williams, another kick. First one from this right-hand sideline. And there's the try scorer on our screen now. Etu Wasili.
Tony Williams with an opportunity to convert from right on touch. And one of the things about these country grounds, and Rocky being in beef territory here in central Queensland, everyone is so close to the touchline. I feel as though we are going to almost reach out and pat Tony Williams on the back. Most of the crowd here is really within touching distance of some of these players, as you can see there. Jam-packed into Brown Park. Standing room only. It's Tony Williams. Kick 2 from 2. Is to make it 3 from 3 and 18 points to 0. He struck it pretty well. He struck it very well. A terrific kick from Tony Williams. And it's now 18 points to 0. Tonga over Scotland. Stuart Raper on the touchline.
Well, if I was Steve McCormack, I'd be looking to probably put the ball out. They did before in the set before. They put the ball out of the kick. But giving Jennings a free run, it's enabled Tonga to get the field position. And once they're down this try line, they're looking very dangerous. And maybe they need to slow this game down a little bit more to get back in it. Because if they keep playing the open game and let Jennings run amok like that, they're going to be in all sorts of trouble.
You talk about those regional fields, but we remember the last time Tonga played, and it was against Samoa at CUA. The fans got a little bit more closer than expected after that game, running onto the field.
Yes, as you well know, Scott, being in amongst the middle of it. Let's hope it doesn't happen here this afternoon. Otherwise, we'll both be in trouble. You had plenty of support there. Tony Pilatua to look after you. 18-0 Tonga. They are in down. Felipe Mateo getting up a bit slow there. That left arm just dangling by his side. There's a bit of a danger here that if Scotland aren't careful before half-time, am I just imagining things, or is he in a bit of pain there, do you think?
He does look like he's clutching his left shoulder. The way he was curled over in that tackle.
Juggle from Robertson. I was about to say that they're in danger here, Scotland, if they're not careful of this game being blown wide open before half-time. There's still 10 minutes to go.
And this is the toughest period in the first half, the last 10 minutes. Making sure you don't concede any points. Cooper Vuna coming off his wing and making an important tackle.
Don't come beside the ruck. Just go away from him. Yeah, but you've come beside him. Now, mate, you got people in front of you.
Tuli Talanoa there being penalised.
Onside, mate. Away you go.
So Scotland will find touch into
On the line, boys.
the territory of the Tongans. It's the 30-metre line. So inside the final 10 minutes of this first half, and hitting a solid tackle. Mateo, left shoulder seems to be okay. 20 metres away, Scotland desperate for points here. Logan can offload, but there's no one to pass to, even if he was able to, and is tackled 10 metres away. Good run though from the Canberra front rower. Fisher out of acting half. Duffy now, Henderson, Ian out to his brother Kevin, pushes away from one. He can't get away from another couple. Willie Manu is out on the field in 19, making the tackle. Duffy, the offload here to Wilkes. He pops it back to Fisher. Fisher looking for somewhere to burrow through, but the defence is too good from the Tongans. Wessie making the tackle with Epalahama Lawaki. Wilkes. Last tackle here for Scotland. Can they get a repeat set? Or maybe a try? And Fisher reaches out. He hasn't got it down. He's lost it. And it's a changeover.
Bad work there from, bad luck there from Fisher, I should say. He had two flat runners just underneath the goalpost. It seems to be an area that's causing a little bit of concern for the Tongans if they can get it out to the back or hit that short runner. Fisher just reaching out there and missing the opportunity. The tail of the tape, unfortunately, for the Scottish at the moment.
For Liddy Mateo, Morrison and Logan there. Making the tackle. Assistance there from the 5'8", David McConnell. Wessie out of acting half. Here's Payer. It's Mickey Payer. Ian Henderson there with the tackle. 40 metres away from the Scottish line. Talanoa out of acting half, picks up 10 metres. Wessie at acting half. Now Payer high in the air to the wing of Cowan. He's attacked the football and taken it very well. It has been stolen off him by Manu.
Once it's tackled, you cannot take the ball off him. Tackle complete.
Well, I thought it was 50-50, but well done from Cowan. Happened right in front of us. Didn't he really attack that football and said, it's mine, I wanted it.
He didn't take his eyes off the ball as well. As a perfect example of anyone sitting at home.
Yeah, he'd won it.
That's a fair call there by Shane Hayne. Didn't take his eyes off the ball, attacked the ball. There's always going to be a tough challenge for the Tongan player who's trying to challenge him for the ball themselves. Oliver Wilkes takes the first ruck up.
Another advantage of sitting so close as you almost feel those hits. As now Logan takes it forward, Lawaki, but the offload there under the tackle of Lawaki comes out there to Duffy, who finds Morrison. I don't think he's been off in this first half. McGilvray has just left the field for the Scots. As they run across field, they're looking for runners, and McConnell, who's playing out of position today at 5'8", just had no one there to run onto the football. The other Henderson's on the field now. That is Andrew. It's like keeping up with the Walters brothers, isn't it? Which one's on and which one's off. Now Ian Henderson kicking. It's off feet, knocked on by Talanoa.
Knock on the corner, mate. Scotland feed.
Shane Hayne getting the call from his touch judge, Paul Holland, who's sucking in the big ones on the far touchline in the heat. It is a warm afternoon. Mind you, it's November. It shouldn't be cold. It's Andrew Emilio sitting on the bench, and there's one of the Hendersons. Was that McNannon, in fact, it was? Yep. Now playing the ball as Fisher. That's one of the Hendersons. Andrew. Duffy on the inside of the other Henderson, Kevin. Plays it back to his brother Andrew. Now Duffy over the head of Morrison. Picked up on the fly. Talanoa's away. Racing away. This is going to be a Tongan try right before half-time. In fact, it's Cooper Vuna. What about the pick-up from Vuna? Places it under the post, and Scotland have paid the ultimate price for a sloppy pass, and Cooper Vuna gets himself a try, and Tonga extend its lead.
Well, we talk about that last 10-minute period, and it's great to see these long-range tries, isn't it? But this left-hand side defence for the Tongans has come up, and they've put a lot of pressure, in this first half of the Scottish widespread. On this occasion, Cooper Vuna gets off his wing, puts his pressure on the attacking players, and comes up with the scraps. There's an ordinary pass from Duffy, a speculator. But Vuna sees the opportunity, gets up hard. Either way, Vuna was getting up there to put pressure on the receiver of the ball, and he comes up, like I said, with the scraps, runs 90 metres to extend this lead to 22-0 for the Tongans. We've seen on a couple of occasions, Feleti Talanoa and also Cooper Vuna getting up off their wings, getting up off their centres, getting out of their defensive line and putting pressure on the attacking players. A couple of opportunities for the Scottish, but you've got to give a rap to the defence. They haven't panicked, they've stayed composed.
It's a cruel blow for them just before half-time, and they have had their chances down there, Scott, so it isn't as if They haven't been down in the field, but when they have, they've just lacked that composure, haven't they?
Well, they have, and the couple of occasions they have got poked their head through is when they've hit the short runner instead of going out the back. I thought out the back might have been the better option.
Williams from right in front to make it 24 at half-time. Tonga well and truly in control. In little trouble, adding the extra 2 as the ball goes over the roof of the Rockhampton Leagues Club, and Tonga lead by 24 points to 0 with 3 minutes of play remaining. And what they have to be careful of here is not to concede another one.
24. Yeah, 24-0 itself going in at half-time is a pretty tough ask to come back from, especially against a side like Tonga, who have great capabilities in regards to a short, deft passing game. They've got a good long passing game. They've got a lot of speed around the ruck. Leo Latu will come back on and cause even more havoc like he has throughout this whole World Cup. So the Scottish at the moment, they can't wait for half-time to come along.
Duffy with a restart to Matteo. Here's Paya bringing it back, pushes away from one, and Fisher's there to make the tackle. In fact, that's Sam Moa. Just shy of the 20-metre line. Nice tackle there from Ian Henderson. The referee said was fine. Fisher was around the legs. The other Henderson was in there with the tackle on Vaselli. Wide again here, Tonga trying to create something. Tony Williams, unmanly supporters getting excited when they see Tony Williams here for Tonga. Last tackle, he's a big unit, Tony Williams, and he's only a baby.
Still eligible for the Toyota Cup this season. We saw him play a few games.
Robertson, a teammate of Williams next year under it, takes it well. It was just floating away from him. They do have a very strong breeze at their back in this first half, Tonga. Cowan, solid tackle there from Eddie Paya. And also into Vaselli in there. So both sides will be looking forward to half-time. Logan with the ball out the back. Cowan. Scotty Logan. A lot of heavy work for him this afternoon. Fisher taken to ground by Wessie. Henderson out of acting, half Duffy by Lawaki. Almost a flop there by Manu. The referee said no. Ian Henderson looking for the touchline and will find it. And both sides will take their time in walking to this scrum with just 20-odd seconds left to play in the first half. I think this 24-0 scoreline at the break as we look at the Scottish bench. The Tongans might come back out in the second half, and with that freedom of expression they can play with, if Scotland aren't careful, Tonga could really turn it on in the second half.
I think the way the game is heading, Tonga are defending very well. They look like Scotland aren't really going to trouble them too much. So it's going to be interesting to see what sort of ball movement we're going to see from the Tongans.
Both sides have had enough. And it is half-time here at Brown Park in Rockhampton. And Tonga have a very healthy lead at the break. They lead by 24 points to 0.
What's the try? Well, it's been a tough first half for Scotland. Maybe that game in midweek starting to show. They trail by 4 converted tries to nothing. The heat of Rockhampton is making the Scots struggle. We'll have the thoughts of Paul and Martin when we return. Coming up later, England play their final game in Pool 1 as they face New Zealand, knowing that a win will guarantee them second spot in that pool. We'll be hoping for a much improved performance in Newcastle after last week's hammering in Melbourne. Meanwhile, we're in the beef capital of Australia. Plenty of beef for Scotland to deal with. Kilos and kilos of the stuff, in fact. 24-0 at half-time to Tonga. 4 unanswered tries. Difficult, I suppose, to know where Scotland go from here, Martin, but are they overcomplicating things?
Overcomplicating things for sure. They've got 3 hookers on the pitch. They're not playing with Danny Brough. John Duffy at 7 is not really sort of going that great. He's kind of fudging it, really. He's not fixing his man. He's playing. He's going through the motions. But as I say, he seems to be fudging things. And I think they'd have a better chance if they just had a much more structured, kind of simple plan. Work the six, get to the back of the six, get a kick in, and try and play off the back of some Tongan errors. Because Tonga aren't playing that great, but they've got their flair. They've got a bit of space. I mean, it's really tough conditions out there. They had a water break after 20 minutes, which I haven't seen yet in this World Cup. And, you know, so it's tough going for them.
And defensively, have they been found wanting, do you think, Scotland?
They have. It's been quite difficult for them. You know, we've seen right from that fantastic kick there from Eddie Pear and Feleti Matteo. A little bit quiet by his standards, was the man to come away with that score. High shot from Scott Logan. Scotland certainly didn't need it. Dave McConnell, feel quite sorry for Dave, having a bit of a nightmare out there, but he's a hooker trying to play standoff. And for Scotland, it's just not quite working. The very few occasions they've been down the other end of the field, they've come away with serious errors. And young Jack Howison, they're just losing the ball when he really did need to secure the field position.
Yeah, we see Tonga going upfield on the back of a great break by Michael Jennings there. I think this led to the Saley try. A great pass out there and just a run out of numbers, Scotland, really. They put themselves under a lot of pressure. We saw John Duffy there throwing a wild pass out. He just needed to be a little bit more controlled, a little bit more structured. Maybe, I don't know, if he's trying to become Danny Brough. Danny Brough is a world-class player, and I feel that John Duffy's struggling in that role as 7. He was a bit, you know, anonymous at 6, and he's not doing that much better at 7, really. They're really missing Danny Brough out there to tie things together. And I think in the second half, the only thing I can see them doing is just go back to a lot more structure, back to basics, a lot more structure, get to the end of the kick, and see what comes from there.
Difficult for John Duffy that he's playing with Dave McConnell again. I feel quite sorry for Dave McConnell. His big chances come in the World Cup, and he's playing in a completely alien position. He likes to be close at the ruck, running from dummy half. He's quite a tough competitor, and he's trying to play standoff. And as we've seen from that big ball that was flung across from John Duffy, picked up by Cooper Vuna, that was intended for Dave McConnell at standoff. The combination between 6 and 7 just has not worked. And to be fair, it'd be very difficult for anyone to expect a hooker to play at standoff and play to you know, international world-class level.
Yeah, on the back of that, after 10 minutes, I think Scotland only had 1 set of 6, and the Tongans had 6 sets of 6. So that sheer weight of numbers is going to, you know, pay dividends for Tonga later on down in the stretch.
Well, it's early 30 degrees and 100% humidity. It's hot. It's hard for Scotland. As you can see, Tonga there at half-time have decided not to go into the changing rooms. They've opted for the cooler option of pitch side. I'm glad I'm in a cool studio, in fact, aren't you, gents? 24-0 at half-time, 4 converted tries. Looks as though Tonga are going to end this World Cup on something of a high. Scotland in for a tough 40 minutes. The second half is coming right up.
This is for those with freedom to imagine a season of films you can't ignore. This is the new place for movies that matter. This is Indie. Thought-provoking films all November on Sky Movies Indie.
Quit your jibber-jabber. You ain't hurt. You pathetic. If I ever catch you acting like a crazy fool again, you're gonna meet my friend Pain. Snickers, get them nuts.
Are you a world record holder? Now you can break records in your living room. Guinness World Records, the video game, available from Argos.
Incredible power is in your hands.
England and New Zealand is coming up later. An important match for Tony Smith's team, no doubt. A win will guarantee them second place in the group and a semi-final in Brisbane against the Kiwis next week. So victory today, and of course the need for a huge psychological boost for that England squad. Meanwhile, in our first game of the morning, half-time at Brown Park in Rockhampton, it's 7th against 8th. And don't forget there's more live action coming up from the Premier League. Arsenal playing Manchester United from noon. Sky Sports 1 HD1, that's channel 408. Then there's Championship football a little bit later on Sky Sports 1 and HD1, same channel, from 5:15. And the Autumn Internationals kick off England against the Pacific Islanders from 2 p.m. on Sky Sports 2 and HD2. Confirmation of the half-time score, 24-0 to Tonga, thanks to tries from Feleti Mateo, Eddie Pea, Etius Aseli and Cooper Vuna. And we can now cross to Brown Park in Rockhampton for the second half. Scotland with an awful lot to do in this second half. Your commentators are Scott Sattler and Mark Braybuck.
As the clouds have sort of rolled in on the back of this northerly. There are some mountains out there that we could see when the game started. They've disappeared behind the cloud. And I think it's maybe a bit of smoke and smog there, a bit of bushfires around on what has been a warm day.
Good to
Shane Hayne is our referee, about to signal second half underway.
And it's good to see the numbers that have turned out here at Rockhampton for this first test match that's been played up here. Big numbers here.
Second half underway. Eddie Paya with boot to ball, and Scotland will have first use of it in this second break as Wilkes brings it forward and meets the meat of the Tongan defence. Shy of the 20-metre line. Here's Logan's solid tackle from Willie Manu. He thought it was a bit high there, Scotty Logan. Now Ian Henderson. Oh, there's another solid tackle. Ian Henderson, I think. Kevin may not give him a Christmas card this year, because I think he's just given him one of the worst passes of all time.
Well, we saw E2 Waselli there. He comes off his wing. Nice shot there on Henderson. But the two brothers, the Henderson kids, I think they'll discussing that later on tonight. Both the wingers for Tonga have adjusted well in defence. When the ball's in the air, they've come in and really shut down a lot of movements. And Waselli starts off this second half with a bell ringer.
Early Christmas present. Here's Tonga with an opportunity early in this second half. Mateo, now it comes to Jennings. Tries to get on the outside of Nannan and can't stay in the field of play. Well done by Big Mick Nannan. Michael Jennings is not a man that is easy to put over the touchline.
No, and you see Feleti Mateo gives an outball here, what they call an outball to Michael Jennings, running on the outline towards the sideline, trying to use his speed to get on the outside of his opposition man. But Nick Nannan does a great job. Holds his line, doesn't become impatient and forces him over the touchline.
Becoming very smoky and dull here in Rockhampton. As the clouds and a little bit of smoky haze drift in. Very quickly there, the referee saying Wesley not offside. Here's Ian Henderson bouncing away from a couple. He's able to offload to Robertson. He's taken to ground right on the halfway line. Kevin Henderson. Here's Logan. Towards the 30.
No, you're just on top of him.
Very hard for him to roll away when Scott Logan's lying on top of him. Wilkes takes it forward. And they lose the football. Let's head down to the touchline to find out what happened at half-time. Stuart Raper.
Yeah, talking to the Scotland coach, Steve McCormack. Funny enough, obviously their defence has been poor. They've missed too many tackles, and he wants to get their kick chase, and if they possibly can, kick out, which we've already discussed. He also just wants them to get to their last, in their attacking zone to get a high kick up, because they are void of a few attacking options. Well, the Tonga coach, Jim Dimmick, he's quite happy, obviously. He wants them to go on with the job. But the big thing he said, let's enjoy our last game of the tournament. And they had big smiles on their face. They got in a bit of a huddle, had a bit of a clap, had a bit of a sing-along. And they went out with a lot of smiles on their face to have a good time.
Tuli Talanoa will play the ball just shy of the halfway line. We see out of acting half, Tony Williams taken to ground there by Ian Henderson. We see at acting half. Oh, there's a high-ish tackle from Morrison. And strip, says the referee. Well, he might have lost that in the tackle of Ian Morrison there, Sam Moa. The referee had a better view than we did. Here's the replay. He just lost that for mine.
Yeah, nothing wrong with the tackle. He tacked the attacking player very well there, Morrison. Put pressure on the Tongan forward. But once again, they find themselves in a pretty vulnerable situation again.
Tonga. Eddie Paya inside to Tony Williams. He beats one, gets away from another. Robertson can't stop him, but did he get it down? Did he lose the ball over the line? The referee said no. A try to go with 4 goals for Tony Williams. It's 28 points to 0. But I've got to say, he lost the ball, Moa. It wasn't stolen, but it's on the board.
Yeah, you're right. And Tony Williams has been used on a couple of occasions on the second tackle of most sets to get them on the forward momentum, get them on the front foot. We see him used here again. Eddie Paya just simply turns him under. His big power and strength. He gets one-on-one with McConnell, gets in between defenders as well, and then Robertson. He's just too big, Tony Williams. And you talk about Manly, how excited they're going to be to get this young man over their squad. They've lost a legend in Steve Beaver Menzies, but what they gain is a player of possibly 10-year career at the club, or even more, and a player that's going to cause a lot of havoc in the NRL next season.
The size of it. And he's still got some growing to do.
He reminds me so much at the same age as the Tony Puletua when he first hit grade as a 17, 18-year-old. Same mobility, great agility, also enormous strength when they're on the field. I don't think Tony can kick goals, but
he's kicked 4 from 4. Is to make it 30 points to 0. One thing Scotland don't want to do in this game is to finish the World Cup with an embarrassing scoreline. They don't deserve it either.
No, they don't. They've worked very hard. They played France in their first game. They were defeated. They came back and beat Fiji in their second round match last Wednesday night at Blue Tongue Stadium up there on the Central Coast, as Tony Williams lines up to try and make it 5 from 5 and extend the lead to 30 points to 0. Good numbers on the hill there behind the goalpost.
He's not a bad goal kicker either. 5 from 5. He strikes it very sweetly, and Tonga lead by 30 points to 0. And there is a player of the future, Tony Williams.
What they have done, Scotland, Mark, just getting back to them, is that they've had their first win in World Cup Rugby League, and that's something to go home, and that's something to be proud of, as well as we see the replay of the try there to Williams again, just too strong. So he's the restart and play, and Cooper Vuna bringing the ball back to centre field.
Looking for a chink in the armour at the Scottish side, and there's no way through there. He plays the ball back to Jennings, who now gives Mickey Paya a run. Towards the 30, he works it. McConnell there to make the tackle. Moa, almost straight over the top, and then gets the pass out the back to Jennings. Numbers here. Chance for Tuli Talanoa. Ian Henderson in front of him. Now to Cooper Vuna, away from the touchline. Gets away from Ian Henderson, but can't get away from Wade Liddell, who makes the tackle and also manages to slow the ball down. Eddie Paya, dummies inside, wants to take them on himself, but can't work his way through. Felipe Mateo kicking over the top. Can he get the bounce? No, Robertson doesn't. Runs into Willie Manu, who is inside the 10.
He had no option there, Robertson. He showed very good courage to take that ball on the run and run straight into a Tongan wall. Willie Manu gets a good shot on him on his right shoulder.
Good touch finder here. He was only half a step in front, wasn't he, Manu? Michael Robertson wished the referee called him offside earlier. Logan's thrown it out, tunnel ball like, and has been picked up by Epalahami Lawaki. And so Scotland have turned over possession again. Kupavuna throws away Morrison, tries to throw away Liddell. Morrison comes again. Talanaro out of acting half. Liddell with another tackle. Paya. Now Lawaki stepping, runs at Logan, who tries the big shoulder charge, but stopped him in his tracks. Around the legs was Andrew Henderson. Wessie, Mateo across field looking for runners, decides to take them on himself and was taken to ground by Duffy and Wilkes. Inside the 20 they are. Eddie Paya, now Moa. Out the back it comes. Jennings, Lawaki, Tony Williams, danger here, and this time McNannon is not letting him go anywhere. Paya with a cross-field kick, it's high, who wants it? Juggle, Jennings went backwards. Referee said no, it went forwards initially. It'll be a changeover.
Well, they had an opportunity there, Tonga. It looked like Scotland had run out of numbers. Gavin Cowan out there by himself, Henderson as well, trying to give him some assistance. We had a lot of red jerseys around Cowan there himself. He would have felt very lonely out there.
Wilkes plays it. Here's Logan. They're going wide early here. Scotland. Morrison gets the ball on the outside. Nannon linking up here with Liddell. He's down the touchline. Wade Liddell inside Talanoa. Here's Robertson. He's got Jennings to beat. He pushes away from him, and Wessie's there to make a terrific tackle. Best play of the game from Scotland. They've got a chance here, the Scots. Now it's Henderson. Paya with a shoulder charge knocks the ball free. And once again, it comes to nothing for Scotland.
It was a good passage of play, wasn't it, down this right-hand side? It was started by Scott Logan, tipping the ball on once again. They get numbers, but McNannon sizes the situation up well and realises he has a big man on a little man, gets the ball away to Liddell. And here's another chase on between these two fullbacks, Robertson and Jennings. We see Henderson trying to create another movement down here. Comes off his foot. Nannon thinks it's a play on, but no control in the play. But enterprising play there by the Scottish. Can get on the outside of the Tongan players. They've proven that now on a pretty easy occasion. They need to extend on that.
A couple of changes being made by Tonga. Antonio Kafusi coming back, their 5th interchange being made there. And also coming on the field, Lapini Paya coming from it. There's Mickey Paya and Sam Moa, who's been terrific, hasn't he? Sam Moa. You know, you've played a game of football. Sam Moa's in the opposition.
Oh, he's done some damage, hasn't he? The big fella there on your left of your screen. A lot of second phase play.
I'm sure all Sharks fans know a little bit about him. Here is Kafusi. Off to the Cowboys, of course. Antonio Kafusi, so he's heading north. Here's Eddie Paya with a little kick over the top. Mateo does well, and that ball's gone forward. They knew it too. Tosh Lassini with a smile on his face.
There's good communication between the 7 and the 6. Paya, you just see there Mateo just hovering up behind the play of the ball. Watch him adjust in mid-air here. Adjust his body inside Logan so he can get a better play at the ball and travels forward.
Scott, go. There you go. Taking up more time.
Scott Logan was taking his time then before playing the ball, just trying to take as long as he could. Well, that should be a penalty there from Kafusi. And his knee on the face of Wilkes, and we saw that in the first half. Scotland penalised, and it's getting a little bit tired here. Nannon. Kafusi firing up a little bit. There's a little bit of weight behind that Antonio Kafusi.
And in this last 28 minutes, an opportunity.
Liddell just couldn't pick it up.
Well, there's another opportunity there. He couldn't pick it up off his toes, but Scott Logan taking the ball to the line and tipping on or tipping out the back to a... We talk about those sweep runners or those second phase plays. They've got on the outside of the Tongan defence. So they've got to continue to try and work away at that, try and get them some results from it. As you see the coach there, Steve McCormack, showing his frustration. The opportunity's not coming off for the Scottish side.
Good luck, he's locking it. Stay. Make sure you stay locked. All heads down, all heads down. Keep it in there, Michael. Out. Backwards.
Mateo went backwards, says the referee. Now it comes to Willie Manu, pushes away from Duffy, away from Kevin Henderson. Still going, Willie Manu, and is finally tackled. Lassini, a solid tackle there from Wilkes.
He's dead. Hold.
Also McConnell in there doing the defensive work. Wessie turns it inside to Kafusi. Logan there doing the defensive work with his front row partner, Oliver Wilkes. Wessie at acting half. Now here's Tony Williams. Going to take them on again, and Morrison there to make the tackle with Andrew Henderson. Kafusi, Eddie Paya. Long ball. Now Mateo stepping inside and trying to create something there. Lassini. He is tackled inside the 10. Last tackle here for Tonga. Cross-field kick. Tony Williams is there, but it goes past him. Cooper Vuna may get himself a double. And Phil Cooley is going to pay for his trip.
Onside through to the ground, mate. We want to check that contest.
You wouldn't know he was here, Phil Cooley. All he's done since he's been here is put some bets on at the local TAB. He's now going to have to work.
We saw the Samoan and the Irish game on Wednesday night where we saw a lot of video ref calls. A lot of scrutiny over a lot of tries. Now we see the first one for this game. Challenge here amongst 4 players.
That's play on. That's off the hands of Liddell.
And this will be a try to Cooper Vuna.
That's off Liddell's hands. You can see there Fatuli Talanoa doesn't have his hands in the air.
Well, it comes off Talanoa's head, which is still play on.
You could argue that he's not trying to catch the ball either. What's he doing in the air?
Well, I think Liddell is.
What I'm saying is, could you get a penalty for Scotland out of that?
No, definitely not.
Well, Liddell's claiming he wasn't able to play on the ball because he was pushed by Talanoa. I think it'll be a try. Cooper Vuna. And there's the green light for the try. So Phil Cooley, our video referee, says that's a try to Cooper Vuna. Gets himself a double. 34-0 with a kick to come.
And here we see the replay here. Mateo puts a good cross-field kick. Liddell does his best to get up with the challenge with Talanoa, and Vuna just picks up the scraps at the back of the melee here. And the Scots are doing as much as they can. What was that? Was that video ref? That sign? Cooper Vuna?
I think so.
There he's a try scorer. 2 tries today, 3 for the World Cup all over.
I'm sure they must be ruining what might have been. Tonga?
I think, and we touched on it at the start of the game before a ball was kicked here tonight. I think they probably have underachieved. Their playing staff shows that they have got a very strong playing squad taking the field, and even players that haven't made the squad and haven't played many games. They're very strong playing staff, a lot of speed, a lot of strength, but unfortunately they haven't really lived up to the expectations. The Samoa-Tonga game would have taken a lot out of them, the loss to Samoa.
Tony Williams looking to make it 6 from 6. Still 24 minutes of play remaining too, which is a worry for Scotland. And that's a wonderful kick. Where are the uprights? I can't see them because of all the smoke. It is another 2 points. 36 points to 0, 6 from 6, to show you how hazy it is getting here. We just lost the ball.
And it's Mateo. It's been good having both Paya and Mateo 2 points of difference in regards to the kicking game. When we talk about kicking, doesn't he hit him sweetly, this big man?
It just doesn't seem like he's trying to hit it.
Much like Big Dean Carney for the Cronulla Sharks in the 80s. Stewie Rapp would know well about him.
Is there any other former Cronulla player that we can mention today? We've mentioned Nathan Long and Dean Carney now.
Toshio Lasini.
It's tackle 2. Move! Here it is, hold! 17, 17!
Very dark here in Rockhampton.
3. Move!
Loaki is back slammed.
Wait.
Another penalty.
You spun around on top to start with. No, get off.
Just been a frustrating afternoon for the Scots, hasn't it, really? Conceded a lot of penalties early and a lot of possession.
And that's what has really hurt them. We can come up with a lot of areas. The Wednesday night game against Fiji, I know they won it, but physically a side like Fiji takes a lot out of you. And it's hard to recover from that. You lose Danny Brough and then you give away a lot of penalties in the first 10 minutes, give away a lot of possession. Team like Tonga take advantage of it, and they did.
Wessie out of acting half. Turns the ball inside to Manu. Almost through, and tackle made there by Kevin Henderson. Had to be made as well. 20 metres away from the goal line. Wessie, now Paya. Here's Felipe Mateo inside to Tony Williams. Had the arm free, but there was defenders between he and Mateo. Wessie, Paya. Now the other Paya, offloading, still there to Manu. Can he get it down? He's held up. Good defence from Scotland.
Tackle 4 held up out there. Tackle 4, mate. On the tackle.
It was a good exchange of passing, wasn't it, from the Tongan forwards?
Get closer.
Player onto Willie Manu.
Thank you. Wait there. Tackle 4.
2 tackles left in the set. Wessie's at acting half. This is Lapini Paya. Now Mateo. Tony Williams. Now Fatuli Talanoa straightening away from Henderson round Robertson. That was too easy. Fatuli Talanoa gets his first try of the afternoon, and Tonga hit 40. They just went to sleep there, the Scottish defenders.
Well, this also comes through just simple, good footwork. Talanoa gets one-on-one, uses his footwork, the old run-around play. Mateo straightens the line of attack, and here it is. 3-on-2 there, but what he does is he takes the man on the inside, beats him one-on-one with footwork. We see from a head-on vision, we'll give you a better view of it. Mateo straightens the line of attack, and here he is, Talanoa, big left foot step. Steps inside McNannon, a bigger man, and takes the score out to 40 points to 0. Still with another 21 minutes to go.
As we approach the halfway mark of the second half, there'll be a drinks break after this attempted conversion. Tony Williams has got a bit of a sore foot at the moment because Eddie Paya is going to have this attempted conversion.
Why wouldn't he have a sore foot? He hasn't missed one.
6 from 6, so he's got something to live up to here, Eddie Paya. And he continues the tradition started by Tony Williams. As the referee says, it's drinks break time, and the scoreboard says Tonga lead by 42 points to 0. Here, some of these tries from the second half.
Well, this is the big man, Tony Williams. Just sheer strength and power, getting over for a good try. Crossfield kick here from Mateo. Only 3 minutes ago. The Cooper Vuna picks up the crumbs. And then we see this try, the old wraparound play. UAC, Mateo straightens the line of attack, gets it to Talanoa, takes on the big man. Henderson can't cover from the inside. And that's only 30 seconds before our 20-minute drinks break, our 60-minute drinks break, I should say.
That means the break is after 60 minutes. We're not having an hour off. Let's head down to the touchline. Stuart Raper has a special guest.
Yeah, I've got injured Scotland prop Paul Jackson. Disappointing to the injury, but just way too powerful tonight, the Tongans, haven't they?
Yeah, it's a tough ask for the boys to back up after a couple of days. There's a few boys carrying a few knocks, so it's a wonder that they're out there at all. I mean, some of these big lads running them all day in this heat as well. I think it's taken its toll.
Yeah, I could imagine the heat would be. But you've had a few stars, and I think the other night, Wednesday night, a great win against Fiji must be the highlight of the tour.
Yeah, well, I mean, everyone wrote us off at this tournament and didn't think we'd get a win, so disappointed against France, and then to beat Fiji, it was amazing for us. It's good for a group of boys to come over against all odds, really.
And you're flying home on Monday. It'll be a lot different climate at Rockhampton.
Oh, definitely. I think there's a bit of snow in Leeds, where I'm from, so I'm going to have to acclimatise again when I get back.
But generally, do you think it's going to improve the game in Scotland, you know, this tour?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've got the grassroots up in Scotland. There's people working behind the scenes, working hard to develop up there. So in the future, I think it's going to be some good Scotland teams coming out of there.
Thanks very much, Paul.
Thank you, Stuart. Cheers, mate.
Coldest place I've ever been, Leeds. It is chilly there this time of year in November, and it's not going to get any warmer. So that's something for the Scottish boys to look forward to. Michael Robertson will head back to the northern beaches of Sydney. We'll look forward to that. There's now Tonga. Look forward to maybe putting some more points on the board here against Scotland. 42 points to nil.
Hasn't he? Hey?
Sure, we'll keep an eye on a couple of his Manly teammates making their test debut tomorrow as well. There's Tonga working it out from their own end. This could get ugly for Scotland if it isn't disappointing already as Lapini Paya plays it. Lea Latu. Now the ball comes to Tony Williams. He is proving a big handful. Talanoa, crossfield. McGilvray there to make the tackle. Wessie at acting half. Now the kick. Robertson has some work to do here. Terrific kick from Wessie. And the chase is good too. He led the chase and was down there with Cooper Vuna.
He's been great, hasn't he, Wessie, when he's came on for Lea Latu. Lea Latu, oh, it's a loose pass, but a penalty here to Scotland.
Too early, marker.
Now the man I was just talking about, Wessie, he's come on for Lea Latu, who has really created a lot of opportunities from dummy half, has had some stinging defence. We see Wessie here, or Vuna saying they're leaving too early. I tend to disagree, but Wessie himself has been smart out dummy half. He's had another kicking option from Mateo and also Eddie Paya. There is the man on screen. Two good strike weapons, Lea Latu and Wessie.
Hey, calling the Paddy.
Now Scotland looking to move it wide. And standing and passing, Henderson gets the ball to Cowan. They've gone from one side of the field to the other and they've gone into touch. What happens when you stand and pass and you get no momentum? Easy meat for the defence there of Tonga.
And it was pretty ordinary ball movement there from Scotland. They just no real threat at all to the Tongan defensive line. They just get up there. Paya, then you got Lassini here, just holds off, gets his man in the position that he wants. Paya comes and gives assistance from the inside. Pretty easy for the Tongan players.
Another player for the scrum for Tonga. 18 minutes remaining. Can Scotland score this afternoon? They have had some opportunities. Paya, now Mateo, Tony Williams. He's there at McConnell, who makes the tackle with McGilvray. Mateo pushes away from Henderson and Fisher and away from Duffy. Henderson comes again with Duffy to make the tackle. That being Andrew Henderson. It's the 10-metre line just in front of Feliti Mateo. Paya across field, linking with Kafusi. McGilvray with the tackle. Wessie out of acting half. Oh, he's grabbed from behind. And awkward fall there for Wessie. The referee says it was fine. Well, he didn't play that properly.
Make sure you stand all the way up the side.
I'm not sure why that's not a penalty if he didn't play it correctly. And that is a high tackle.
It's not a high tackle.
It is. It's above the shoulder. But if you don't play the ball correctly, how is it not a penalty?
Yeah, well, I agree with you there. You see Duncan McGilvray grabbing him on the shoulder, Mark, and pulling him down. Wessie there trying to get up, but doesn't completely get off the ground to play that ball for Mateo, who gets across the try line.
That's one. Move! He's 10 to move here. That's good.
It's Patrick Cooper on the field for Scotland. And now Henderson picked up and almost carried back 10 or 15 metres. Lapini Paya involved in the tackle with Wessie.
Straight. Move!
I'm sure there are some tired and stiff Scottish players out there after a hard-fought win over Fiji. It must be so hard backing up, and that's a good kick. Terrific kick. The weight was perfect, and Waselli now has some work to do. Past Cooper. Can't get away from Liddell. Keeps it alive to Cooper Vuna. He's got Henderson to beat. He tries to take him on. He's around him. He's got support on the inside, but it was Lowaki, and Robertson made the tackle. He thought, well, Epalahami, you're not going to go too far. Enterprising stuff there from Tonga. Mateo.
All the way, boys, all the way.
Wessie now. Talanoa past Cooper. Good defence there from Fisher. 20 metres away from the goal line. Tonga with another opportunity here. Still 15 minutes remaining. Paya. Back to Mateo. Keeps it alive to Tony Williams. Pushes away from a couple, but can't get away from Paddy Cooper. And the referee says there was a lost ball in there.
We're really getting into a period this last 15 minutes of the game where the Tongans are starting to play with the Scottish a little bit, getting a lot of offloads in their tackles. A lot of sloppy arm tackles from the Scottish. They are just really tired at the moment.
And if you want to keep up to date with everything that's happening in the World Cup, RLWC08.com is the website for you to go to. As we count down to the final on November 22 at Suncorp Stadium. This is Robertson. McGilvray. And they get a penalty here, the Scots. Finally, Tonga penalised for holding down and they play the ball. A relieving penalty and a good touch finder too from Scotland. There it is, Antonio Kafusi. So can they get on the board here, Scotland?
Yeah. I'll tell you what it's like.
This is Chris Armott. Andrew Henderson. Now Duffy taking them on. Almost through the other side. And finds himself only 12 metres out from the line. McGilvray with a bit of a juggle.
Never onside.
Antonio Kafusi penalised for not being onside at marker.
Wait there, wait there. Wait there, wait there. Go.
Howison, just the settler there. Tavita is getting ready to come back on. And now from acting half, Henderson, Andrew almost getting over. Tony Williams with the tackle. Well, Epalahami Lowaki was a mile offside. Howison. And there was a knock on. Well, Epalahami Lowaki was literally standing in the Scottish line. How he wasn't penalised. But another opportunity, a wasted opportunity for Scotland.
And Duffy, the halfback, he probably should have taken a little bit more control there. Had an opportunity from a Henderson and Nelly scoring this try.
Lock, boys, lock. Tonga, we need lock.
Henderson took off from dummy half and Nelly crossed the line. That's when Duffy had to step up and take control.
Hey, all hands up. No, hang on. Stand up.
There is a dummy half behind the play. The ball needed to be out a lot wider. Getting a pass from dummy half, taking options to the line. It's been a little bit of the same old story tonight for the Scottish.
Tonga. Michael Jennings was looking to come off, but Tuli Talanoa coming off for Tonga. Lahami Lowaki also coming off as Leo Latu goes on. And I reckon he could be very dangerous in these last 12 minutes. He'll want to have a crack as soon as he can. And he's just behind here, Williams, and if Williams could have got the arms free, it was danger for Scotland. 9 short of halfway. Mateo. Good defence from Scotland, but he's able to offload here to Kafusi. Yeah, Latu is just lurking there, waiting for an opportunity. Last tackle here for Tonga. 9 metres into Scotland territory. Paya with the kick, under pressure from Morrison. It's a good kick too. It will find touch. Well, that was a terrific kick.
He's had a smart game player. He's taken the line on a couple of occasions. He's fed the ball well to Feleti Mateo when he wants it. He hasn't tried to overplay his hand too much. We mentioned earlier his kicking game has always been criticised when he was coming up into grade and into playing the NRL. And tonight he hasn't tried to, like I say, hasn't tried to overplay his hand. He's got his kicks away. Some of them have gone dead, but it doesn't matter. It puts the Tongan defensive line on the front foot. So I've been impressed with the way he has played. He's had a good combination with Feleti tonight.
Robertson. So we approach the final 10 minutes in this game and the final 10 minutes in the World Cup for these two teams. Oh, what about the shoulder charge there on Morrison, and he gets up and goes again.
Oh, he's been so game, hasn't he, Morrison, this game against the Tongan forward pack. He's done his best to take them on.
They keep it alive here. And Duffy's beaten a couple up towards the halfway line.
You see the replay here, Morrison. And it's Tony Williams. Hair flowing like Nathan Long used to when he used to get whacked.
And Michael Robertson is standing at the back for Scotland going, how good's that? Knowing he'll play next to him next year. Last tackle as McGilvray plays it. Duffy is going to put the ball high in the air. It's a shocker. Off the side of the boot, leaping high. Mateo takes it. Once again, it comes to nothing here for Scotland. Antonio Kafusi comes from the field, and Sammy Moa comes again.
Stand up. Hold. Hold. Go.
Emilio at acting half, looking for a run. Takes it 10 short of the halfway line. Mickey Paya. This is away from Howison.
Move.
Quick play the ball. Leo Latu out of acting half. Now Moa. Bit of a roll here for Tonga, but it's the last tackle. They're short here to the left, the Scottish defence, and Mateo decides to go down the middle. Can he keep it alive? He throws it out the back. Picked up, play on, says the referee. Emilio over the top to Vuna, looking for a hat-trick. Robertson to beat, pushes away from him. Liddell holds him up, well done. Wade Liddell held him up, and it'll be last tackle changeover. And the East Brisbane number 2 does well.
Well, it was again Feleti Mateo getting a ball away in traffic. And again, a lot of players around him to transfer the ball to the outside men. Mickey Paya gets a nice ball to Vuna. A lot of the time he's finished a lot of these movements off, but Liddell gets underneath smaller man.
McConnell. McGilvray floating on the outside to Kevin Henderson. It's the 30-metre line he's playing it on. Here's McGilvray. He's worked hard when he's been on the field, Duncan McGilvray.
And he has matched a lot of the Tongans with aggression in his runs.
There's the kick from Robertson, straight down the throat there of Cooper Vuna.
Stand up.
And there's the Scottish dressing room, getting the baths ready for the boys when they come off. You'd be looking forward to that, wouldn't you?
It's either that or they're getting them ready for acclimatisation back in the UK.
Or they've got a few beers hidden somewhere. Here's Tavita Latu. Almost through. He's still going, Leo Latu. Wilkes in front of him, away from Logan. Linking up here with Emilio, who, if he'd thrown the dummy, was through. The ball out the back from Jennings. Vuna picks it up. The energy sapping from the players quickly. Mateo, it hasn't already gone. Paya with the crossfield kick. Here they come. Waselli just couldn't get there. Well done by Cowan.
It was well done by Cowan. He had Waselli beaming down. He could hear the footsteps coming, but he held his ground. Took a good pass. But Andrew Emilio was through if he threw that dummy down this left-hand side. And you mentioned it, Mark, Leo Latu. As soon as he's come on, he's created a little bit of havoc. Not so much from dummy half, but up the middle of the ruck.
Wilkes. Oh, solid tackle, Moa.
Move, Sam.
He's been good under the high ball. Logan, and there's another charge from Tony Williams using the shoulder. Mateo in there as well. He's tried so hard, Scotty Logan, hasn't he? In all the games, as they all have. McGilvray, 42-0. They don't deserve this, Scotland. They've been better than that.
Release now.
He's got the shoulder charge there. Another kick coming from Fisher into the corner, and it will go to the dead ball line, and so it's going to be a 20-metre restart. I just think the game against Fiji has just taken the edge right off them.
Well, it has, and it's also they have lost their key player in their halfback in Denny Bruff. You know, it's hard to lose your number one player, and a two-day turnaround. They didn't finish that game until well after 10 o'clock that night on Wednesday night. So realistically, it is a two-day turnaround. You see a good charge there from Mickey Paya.
Here's Wesley out of acting half. They're looking for another try here, the Tongans. Jennings at acting half, finding Eddie Paya. Comes back to Manu. 40 metres away from the line. Jennings keeping it alive, back to Manu. Now Waselli stepping, pops the ball back, keeping it alive. Then mistake coming now off the hands. Went forward. So the scrum will pack down. They can keep it alive, can't they? Mancini involved.
Sorry? Yeah, 4.5.
I don't think any player out there is keen for this scrum to pack. 4.5 minutes you could hear. It's now down to 4 minutes almost.
Heads down, all heads down, Willie.
These players for the end of their season.
Out.
Scotland, can they finish with a try? I'm sure the crowd, the healthy crowd that has made their way to Brown Park in Rockhampton, in central Queensland. I suppose for those who are watching overseas, roughly and very roughly, you could say that it's just about halfway between Brisbane and Townsville. Rocky, beef country. You're looking for a steak, this is the best place to come to, Sats, and I know you've been speaking about it since we arrived at Brisbane Airport.
I shall be searching for one in about an hour.
Here's Robertson, more than one, the way you've been talking. 30 metres out from the line. Fisher at acting half with a little kick for the corner again. Just hoping for an attacking kick. Maybe put a bit of pressure on Jennings. Just kicking possession away there on the last tackle with 3 to go.
Yeah, they haven't. Probably give a rap to a few of the Scottish players when we get the opportunity. The number 11, Ian Morrison, he's given away a few penalties, but he's attacked everything in this World Cup competition. And like Mick Cassidy, that plays for the Irish side, he stands out on the field and he attacks everything with so much aggression.
Plays for Widnes in England. Famous rugby league club as Mickey Paya is tackled just shy of the halfway line. Inside the final 3 minutes.
He's gutsy, isn't he? He's that gutsy. We heard Jim Dimmick talk before the game that he plays well above his weight.
Here's Robertson. Looking to link with someone across field and decides to take them on and almost was able to burst through, and Moa made the tackle. Liddell out of acting half. Runs at Mateo, one-on-one strip and able to be picked up there by Patrick Cooper. He does well, and Manu involved in the tackle with Wessie. Looking like Leo Latu and Wessie making another tackle.
Wessie's got a little bit less ink on his arms.
Just a fraction less hair too. Here's Fisher out of acting half. 2 minutes to go. Come on, Scotland, finish with a try.
It'd be good to see, wouldn't it? The crowd would love it. The Scottish would love to finish this. What I think has been a pretty successful campaign for them. Getting their first win, and for them to finish with a try would be exciting for them. Finish on a positive.
Morrison plays it. Logan at acting half.
Onside.
Here's the kick from McConnell. Still alive, and he's got it back. 6 to go.
Here we go.
He's got a cramp though, I think, has he? Slow to his feet, he has. He can barely get up. Out of acting half. One of the Hendersons, that's Kevin. Tries to dive over. What have they got left here, Scotland? Long ball back to Duffy. Even longer one back here to Henderson. Now Robertson has Talanara in front of him. They've lost 20 metres here. Talanara and Leo Latu with the tackle. And Leo Latu says we're still playing a test match with only 70 seconds to go. Wilkes, he's been good as well, the big front rower. Scored the winning try on Wednesday night. 10 metres away. Fisher out of acting half. Is there something there for the captain? He's almost over. He's only half a metre away. Last tackle. It comes back to Robertson. The crossfield kick is not a good one. Cowan is there. He taps it back, but only into the hands of Willie Manu. And they can't get over Scotland. Tonga survive. And they'll give away a penalty, will they? No. Well, they had another chance there. The Scots. They just couldn't get their way through. Fisher's been close, but not quite close enough. The clock is winding down for Scotland and Tonga in the Rugby League World Cup for 2008. Scotland won their first ever World Cup match, beating Fiji. For Tonga, mixed emotions. A win and a loss to Samoa meant they weren't able to advance. But can they finish with a try here? They lead 42-0. Payer out of acting half, still going Eddie Payer. He's still going Eddie Payer. He's still going Eddie Payer. He's still going Eddie Payer. Now he links up with Jennings, and Jennings will score a try. But it was all Eddie Payer. Right on full time, 46 points to 0. They wouldn't tackle him and they paid the price.
Well, what a great way to finish this game. It's got a good entertaining flow of attack by the Tongans, but it's Eddie Payer, ball in two hands. Anyone sitting at home, any half, ball in two hands, holding the defence off at will. Pushing and showing good strength here as well to get away from some defenders. And Michael Jennings just hovering around the middle of the ruck, middle of the field, I should say. Payer picks him up, scores under the post to finish this game off with a pretty scintillating sort of try. The Tongan players all congratulating each other on a pretty hectic few weeks through this World Cup.
Well, the conversion attempt has been taken and was successful, and it's full time. The first ever test match played at Brown Park in Rockhampton has finished in a victory for Tonga. They've defeated Scotland by 48 points to 0.
So Scotland's World Cup is over, no doubt about their highlight. That came midweek against Fiji, but today beaten by a much better Tongan side who finally clicked. They had the advantage of a jaded Scottish side. We'll have the thoughts of Paul and Martin when we return. Now till kick-off in a game that will guarantee them second spot in their group if they win. We'll be hoping for a much improved performance from Tony Smith's side against the Kiwis. Full time at Rockhampton, where Scotland's World Cup has ended with a resounding 48 points to 0 defeat, and Tonga just too strong for them in the end. But Scotland, really, Paul, it was they were carrying bumps. They were tired from that mammoth effort against Fiji, and it was just a little too much.
It has proved to be. A little bit disappointed that Scotland didn't play to their very obvious assets. Obviously, losing Danny Brough can't help any side, but they've got 4 hookers within their squad, within their 17. Ben Fisher, Ian Henderson, Andrew Henderson, Dave McConnell. Felt very sorry for Dave McConnell, playing out at standoff and looked completely lost. I thought they should have gone really right up the middle, stay right at the ruck and take on the Tongans, where they're probably not the strongest in defence.
They did in the last 5 minutes, didn't they?
Absolutely, you know, because even John Duffy, very quick from the dummy half. Don't move the ball wide if you're not that good in the 3 quarters. And the Scottish simply aren't, and they're not without the guile and expertise of Danny Brough. So I think they paid the penalty for trying to be a little bit too expansive, trying to stick with their game A, their only game plan. I think they should have tightened up in this match.
Does this take the gloss off their World Cup, Martin?
No, I don't think so. It was a great effort on Wednesday, and if I'm honest, it was an impossible ask for them to get back up today, especially without Danny Brough in their midst, and they tried to play a similar a game plan. It was too expansive, you know. They should have just reined it in and just let Duffy play simple plays, go forward, get some kicks. Paul mentioned they had 4 hookers in their team today, and with the likes of Oliver Wilkes and Scott Logan, they had some go forward there. Ian Morrison was game. They talked on the telecast about likening him to Mick Cassidy and several other players. He was a game player. They had a lot of game players in their side today. I thought they deserved an A+ for effort, but really without Danny Brough in their side, they looked almost clueless at times in that second half.
And one thing that struck you about Tonga was not just their physical size, but their young age, by comparison, really, to the Scots. You've got the likes of Tony Williams here, just 19 years old, and a lot of talent in this Tongan side, Paul.
Absolutely. You know, and that's what they are, powerful athletes. You know, great, anaerobic, explosive power. Great kick from Matteo now for this second try. Possibly there, even obstruction. The fullback didn't challenge the ball, but the decision went in favour of the Tongans, and it was Cooper Vuna probably won't ever score an easier try. And this is great play across the field. Poor defence, though. It was a slow movement. You should have just rushed up and took the momentum away from the Tongan side. You stand back and watch them play, and they're going to destroy you. They scored, 24 unanswered points in the first half and repeated that in the second. Great play from Eddie Pyer, ball in both hands. The defence has fallen to pieces at this point, and possibly one of the men of the competition in Jennings. Just too powerful, too quick. At the end of the game, pushing up, as all good fullbacks do, in support to get that final try. Yeah,
and in the background there, you could see a lot of the Scotland side. They were almost walking. They were out on their feet, and they gave everything on Wednesday night, and they gave everything today, and just a little bit too much.
Yeah, nothing left.
Well, Scotland have bowed out, perhaps staggered is the more appropriate word of this tournament, losing 48-0 to Tonga. And we can now get the thoughts of Eddie, Steve and Phil, who are in Newcastle ahead of England, New Zealand. They've bowed out of the tournament, guys. What have you made of their performance throughout this competition?
Well, the Bravehearts, John, have lived up to their name, haven't they? I mean, we are hugely disappointed for the Scots here in Newcastle. What about you back there in the studio? I've been listening to your comments. It's a shame that they've gone out like this, isn't it?
It is, Eddie. One thing I've been very impressed with is the form of Ian Henderson. We saw in his time at Bradford almost played a bit part role behind Terry Newton. You know, Terry Newton was always start the game and have a little spell, and then you'd see Ian Henderson coming into his own. But as we've seen in this competition, whether you're a 9 or you're a 13, he has, I think, been one of the revelations so far. He can certainly hold his head up high. The move to the Warriors has done him a world of good. He's getting regular football. If he's playing for 80 minutes, he's going to cause an impact. I'm very, very impressed with Ian Henderson.
And Eddie,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's sorry, John.
Yeah, sorry, Eddie. Just Scotland and Ireland, the likes of these teams, have had a really good development opportunity in this World Cup. How now do you take this forward?
Well, let me put that to Phil and Steve-O, who are here with me, because we've been watching the game on TV, Phil. The lads in the studio want to know now how Ireland and Scotland, after their exploits in this World Cup, how do they take it forward? How do we develop the game north of the border and across the sea in Ireland?
Well, we've got to rely on some strong management from both Scotland and Ireland, really, and the same, of course, in Wales. It can no longer be driven from the RFL in England. They need to take ownership themselves, develop some short and long-term goals, and have some sort of a plan that could take them to the next World Cup and beyond. And if that isn't the case, then this World Cup in many ways has been wasted. OK, there's been some fun and enjoyment for the Irish and the Scottish whilst they've been out here, and they've played their part in an entertaining World Cup. But you have to hope that there is going to be some sort of legacy after this.
Yeah, let's hope, Steve-O, they can be taken on. But as Phil said, the Irish, particularly because they've got a massive game coming up on Monday, and also the Scots, they've added to the sort of jamboree feel that this World Cup's got over here.
I think most importantly is the fact that they have shocked quite a few people out here in Australia. They've played with a lot of passion, certainly with a lot of pride, but I'm with Phil. you've got to make sure that the junior base is there. And also, you've got to make sure that they have some form of competition. It's no good just picking players from around the world that have grandparents that played for Ireland, that were born in Ireland or in Scotland. We've got to make sure that the Rugby Football League give them the backing. They've got to have the finance. Finance is always a problem when it comes to junior development. Who's going to pay for it? Who's going to set up? Who's going to pay for the shirts? Who's going to pay for all the balls? Who's going to do the coaching? It is not easy. And we've got to make sure, if we're going to develop anything in Ireland and Scotland, we've got to make sure that they've got a junior base, B, that they've got a very, very strong school competition, because we've got to catch these lads very early in the piece. If we can do that, then it'll be fine. It'll be a long, drawn-out affair, but at least it's a start. But we have to back them financially.
Maybe that's something for the Rugby League Foundation to look at further down the track, because that's the sort of job that they do. They establish Rugby League in places where it maybe isn't played and encourage the juniors. But I think today, Phil, once we heard that Danny Brough wasn't playing, the boys have been saying in the studio, that was probably the end of the road for them.
I think so, and obviously the short turnaround between the two games. I think the conditions as well really suffered. And when you play against a Polynesian side, you have to start the game particularly well, because you know the dynamic approach that your opposition will bring to it. Scotland were unable to do that, and conceding those early tries, the momentum grew, didn't it, behind Tonga. But sometimes there's a case of taking sport too seriously, and I think what we've seen today is some players having fun. I mean, very rarely do you ever see a game of rugby league where there are three brothers playing in a side. We've seen two today. They've played there, they've had some fun. We've seen Tonga score some fantastic tries, some wonderful skills, and I think sometimes we should enjoy sport for what it is. It's sport, it's about fun and enjoyment.
Indeed so. Steve McCormack and the Scottish boys won't be thinking about that just now, I'm sure. Steve-O, obviously coming next, it's England here in Newcastle against the Kiwis. We'll talk about that in some detail later on. After that, it's Ireland on Monday, and they are having a ball over here, aren't they?
They certainly are. We mentioned earlier the fact that no one expected them to do well. I think it's a sort of a dream come true, and it'll be the stepping stone for the future. They can do that. But again, we've got to look towards and ensure that there is a competition in Ireland to bring the youngsters through. It's not going to be easy. There are other sports in Ireland and in Scotland that we have to compete with. But we've seen down here in this World Cup that I think some of the best tries we've seen have come from the South Sea Islanders and from the Irish and from the Scottish. It was a wonderful win over Fiji the other night. And okay, it's the first time that Scotland have won a game in a World Cup. That's a start. And they should feel very, very proud about it. I know I am. And let's hope that the English tonight do exactly the same thing. Show a little bit more effort, a little bit more pride, which I think we'll see tonight.
Let's hope so. In the build-up to this match, there's been a curtain raiser in the Defence Corps World Cup, and I can tell you that with the kick to come, I think probably in front of the post behind me, Great Britain Defence Corps 84 kick to come, and Papua New Guinea Defence Corps 6. Let's hope that that is an omen for England later on.
Eddie, Martin here. I just wanted to ask you.
Yes, Martin.
We talked here a lot about the lack that a lot of these Celtic nations are suffering with not enough talent. You know, there's only one Danny Brough out there. Do you think that their long-term goals have to be Super League franchises in Scotland and in Ireland, like Cardiff? Sorry, like the Dragons, the Celtic Crusaders.
I would probably go along with you. If there is any future in Scotland, if there's any future in Wales, yes. Let's have them in Super League if there is the talent pool there, and if there are people in Scotland and Ireland who are prepared to back them financially to get into the Super League. But I think we're talking way, way, way down the track, Martin. I don't think that's going to happen on the back of this World Cup, honestly. I really don't.
Thanks very much, gents. No doubt we'll be speaking to you as the morning goes on ahead of that England-New Zealand game.